Hey, Jim Wolf here with dating advice for men who love women. We all kind of know deep down that women love confident men. And I really wanted to make a presentation about this because so many of my clients struggle with being confident. And a lot of times it actually just comes down to how things play out when you're actually interacting with a woman, when you're having your first conversation with her, and you're going on your first or second or your third date with her, and how to be confident in those situations, and being able to playfully challenge her and not necessarily think that she's above you in some way, for example. And so many guys struggle with that. And I think one of the main reasons that they struggle with it is they kind of see the two stereotypical male archetypes that you can possibly be as kind of this nice, supplicating guy who's actually just kind of weak and doesn't have a backbone and doesn't express what he really wants and his true opinions, and really just isn't being himself. He's just kind of trying to be what other people want him to be. So that's one archetype, and that's what a lot of my clients fall into for the most part. And they know that that's kind of not very good and definitely not effective when it comes to dating. And they don't want to be that way. However, what a lot of those clients think is that the opposite of that is being some kind of arrogant, cocky, jerk kind of guy. And they definitely don't want to be that because they see that guy as much worse than a guy who's just nice and polite. And I tend to agree with that. So this can be a huge problem when it comes to men attracting women. Well, here's the thing about that. The opposite of being a kind of weak, what we call nice guy, is not a cocky, arrogant jerk. That guy actually, by the way, is also not genuinely confident. That guy also doesn't have high self-worth. That cocky, arrogant jerk basically has the same deep underlying issue as the nice guy. It just plays out a little bit differently when he interacts with the world. And so the most attractive men in the world, the ones who are actually able to attract and keep high quality women, have genuine confidence. And they're not nice guys, and they're not cocky jerks. And so if we can be confident and be a little more assertive and be able to express ourselves and have a backbone, and at the same time not be that pompous, arrogant, cocky jerk, then we have genuine confidence, and then we are our most attractive selves. And so if we understand the difference between being genuinely confident and being cocky, then a whole new world of success opens up for us. And by the way, a lot of women struggle with this too. This is a common human thing of not wanting to be cocky. And so I think this is a very important idea, and it's even more important for you if you want to attract high quality women. And so what is the difference between being genuinely confident and being arrogant or cocky? Well, I think the main difference between genuine confidence and being a cocky jerk is comparison. A guy who's arrogant or cocky thinks, I'm better than other people, or other people are worse than me. That's why he's so awesome. So an arrogant person, someone who's cocky, who's a jerk, is basically comparing himself to other people and saying that he's better or that they're worse than him. And then on the other hand, a guy who doesn't have any confidence, who doesn't have any self-worth, and who isn't cocky says something like, other people are better than me, or I'm worse than everyone else. And so he's still comparing himself to other people and saying, they're so much better than me, that's why I suck. So that's kind of the nice guy position. And maybe that nice guy doesn't compare himself to everyone else and think that he's worse than everyone else. But when it comes to an actual woman that he's actually dating and wants to be with, he starts thinking that she's so much better than him. And that thought plays out in the way that he interacts with her, and it sabotages their relationship. And so whether a guy is kind of a nice guy or an arrogant jerk, he's generally comparing himself to other people to determine his own value. On the other hand, A man with genuine confidence thinks something like this: I'm not better or worse than anyone else. I'm just awesome. So make this your new motto. I'm not better or worse than anyone else. I'm just awesome. The thing is that his value as a person is not in relation to anyone else's. And here's the truth. We actually all have equal intrinsic value. Every human being in the world has the same level of basic intrinsic value just because they exist. And the truth is that you're actually not better or worse than anyone else in general. Now, of course, in certain contexts, you might actually be better or worse than other people. For example, maybe other people are better at math than you, or maybe you're better at sports than other people, or maybe you're a world-class poker player, but at the same time, you're not very good at swimming. Or maybe your social skills aren't the best, but you're really good at engineering. And so if you compare yourself to other people in a specific context, of course you're going to be better or worse than other people at a specific skill or in a specific area of life. However, when it comes to your real internal intrinsic value, you are actually not better or worse than anyone else. That's the truth. And it's the truth for everyone else too. We all have the same general value just because we exist. This is an extremely important idea, not only for how you live your life in general, but when it comes to attracting women. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. So just think about this for a second. A beggar on the sidewalk in front of your local grocery store actually has the same amount of general intrinsic value as George Clooney. Just think about that for a second. That's the truth. However, on the other hand, obviously George Clooney has much higher social value than that beggar by the grocery store, especially within American culture. There are probably people from all over the world who've never even heard of George Clooney, but for most Americans, we have heard of him, and in our culture, he has extremely high social value. I'm sure you've heard of him, for example. However, again, at the end of the day, George Clooney's intrinsic value is exactly the same as that beggar's. And so when you base your general self-worth on your intrinsic value, that's always there for you and is not based on a comparison to anyone else, that's the foundation of genuine confidence. And of course, you can expand it from there. Self-esteem actually means that you take action based on your high self-worth, and you're part of a system of meaning, and you feel like you're a valuable part of that. That's what self-esteem basically is. And so if you have high social value or you have a lot of accomplishments, those can kind of boost your self-esteem. But if you don't have that foundation of general self-worth that's not based on that underneath all of it, you're never going to feel as whole and complete as you actually are, and you're never going to be as confident as you actually could be. And there's a lot of people who are celebrities, for example, who have extremely high social value, but they don't have this foundational piece in place, and they have very low self-worth, and that plays out in all kinds of destructive ways. But for our purposes, when it comes to having relationships with women, it's extremely important for you to develop this part of your confidence, this general self-worth that's not based on a comparison with other people, because it allows you to attract the right woman for you. And if you try to base your self-worth on being better than other people, or that other people are worse than you, or you try to base it on your accomplishments, or the possessions that you own, or anything that's external to you and your general value that's there no matter what, then your confidence is resting on a house of cards that could come crashing down at any moment. And in that case, you could only feel good about yourself on those rare occasions when those external factors allow you to. It's not solid, it's not grounded, it's not consistent, and that means that it cannot be the basis of your self-worth if you want to have genuine, lasting confidence. And so what does all of this really mean for you in terms of your life and in terms of attracting women and having a relationship with a woman? Well, first of all, it means that you can stop competing for value. if you separate your self-worth and your general idea of your value as a man from comparing yourself to other people, then you don't have to compete for that value with other people anymore. And instead, what you can do is work with other high value people who also understand this to create win-wins, and you can create and share value with the world instead of seeking it from the world. So if you think that you already have infinite intrinsic value, which is just the truth, then instead of seeking that value from outside of yourself, you can take some of that infinite value and share it with the world. And who do you think is more successful with women? A guy who's seeking some kind of value or validation from the world and from her? Or the guy who already validates himself, who already understands that his value is infinite and wants to share something with her and with the world? It's pretty clear that it's the guy who already values himself. And when you have this kind of attitude and you spend your time with other people who do as well, you get a lot more out of your life. If you're not competing for value and you're just trying to share value with the world, and you hang out with other people who do that too, your life is pretty good. And when you have this attitude, it also means that you can celebrate the success of others. And this is really important, because when you celebrate the success of other people who have the things that you want in your life, it makes it much more likely that you'll get those things as well. And why is that? Because your mind associates that success with positive emotions when you celebrate it, and that means that your mind will allow you to experience that success as well. On the other hand, if you put successful people down, or you minimize their success because you're still competing for value, then your mind will associate that success with negative emotions, and it will block you from achieving that same success or getting that thing into your life. And so, for example, when it comes to attracting women, the next time you see a guy enjoying some success with women, celebrate it and cheer him on. Don't minimize that or put him down. So start celebrating the success and the fortune of people who have the things that you want, instead of minimizing it or putting them down. And then number 2, this also means that you can allow yourself to make mistakes without feeling so bad about it. And this growth mindset is critical if you want to achieve the highest levels of success in anything you want to do in life, including attracting and keeping the right woman for you, because most of the time it requires you to make many mistakes along the way. Getting to that next level requires you to take action, and when you take action, sometimes you're going to make mistakes. And if you can allow yourself to make more mistakes faster, you're going to improve faster and you're going to get results faster. And you definitely have to make a few mistakes and break some eggs on your way to ultimate success with women. And here's the thing. If you feel really bad about yourself whenever you make a mistake, you're not going to be able to keep taking the actions you need to take in order to live the way you really want to. That's going to hold you back a lot. On the other hand, if your self-worth is always just there for you because it's based on your infinite real intrinsic value just because you exist, then you're free to make mistakes because nothing can touch your baseline confidence as a man. So when you make a mistake, it doesn't mean that your value is lower. It has nothing to do with your intrinsic value at all. In that context, maybe you didn't get the result that you wanted, or maybe you're embarrassed that you made the mistake, but it doesn't mean anything about your general value as a person or as a man. And that frees you up to keep going and keep making those mistakes that you need to make to get where you want to go. Now, it's of course not a good thing to keep making the same mistakes over and over again. You want to learn from your mistakes and make new mistakes each time. It's just that, again, when you make a mistake, it doesn't mean anything at all about you in general. It's an opportunity to improve next time. And again, that's called having a growth mindset. And having that mindset is one of the strongest predictors of success, healthy self-esteem, and fulfillment. And by the way, here's another thing about that. If you're worried that you'll stop improving if you just accept yourself exactly the way you are in this moment and accept that you're infinitely valuable just because you exist, that's simply not the case. In fact, research shows that we improve the most when we highlight 5 things that we're doing right to every 1 thing that we need to correct. So focusing on everything that you're doing wrong and feeling really bad about yourself doesn't actually serve you well at all, and it doesn't help you improve more. It just discourages you from continuing to take action and slows down your development and prevents you from getting the results that you want. So I highly encourage you to accept who you are and where you are right now in this moment, and then just keep moving forward, taking action, and improving from here. And then the last thing that all of this means for you, number 3, is that you can cultivate the mindset that allows you to be the most successful with women. Listen, a woman has to see you as on her level or above in order to be attracted to you and or fall in love with you. And that's why men give women presents, take them to fancy restaurants, show off their nice cars, talk about their huge houses, and highlight their accomplishments and their best qualities in their conversations with women. They are trying to prove their value to her as a potential mate. However, here's the interesting thing. What's most attractive to a woman is your real internal value that we've been talking about, reflected through the way that you behave. And when you accept that you're infinitely valuable just because you exist, which is just the truth, by the way, it's not that big of a deal, and that you're not better or worse than anyone else, then here's the thing. You never have to try to prove your value to a woman or to anyone else. And when you're on a date with a woman and you don't try to prove your value to her at all, she thinks you're an extremely high value man. When you don't try to prove your value to a woman, she starts thinking you're an extremely high value man. It's kind of ironic how that works. Plus, when you're not trying to prove your value to a woman, you can relax and find out what makes her unique, what makes her valuable as a potential partner. And you never feel the need to put her or anyone else down because your value is not in comparison to her or anyone else. And of course, when you don't put her down, and instead you playfully tease her, and she notices that you're not trying to prove how awesome you are to her, it's just kind of assumed and implied, and not in some kind of cocky, arrogant way. Just, it's not a big deal, that's just the way it is. You're not better or worse than anyone else. You just happen to be awesome. That's extremely attractive to a woman. And by the way, that's also what being secure means. Being secure means that your real intrinsic value is never in question, and nothing external to you can change it. Nothing can add to it or subtract from it. And I can't even tell you how much easier everything is, including attracting and keeping the right woman for you, when you live your life that way. So I highly encourage you to think about this and find a way to just accept the fact that you're not actually better than anyone else. And at the same time, you're not actually worse than anyone else either. We all have the same level of intrinsic real value just because we exist. If you can accept that idea and then accept yourself exactly the way you are right now, and accept the way things are exactly the way they are right now, and then move yourself forward, keep taking action, keep learning everything that you can, and then keep learning from your mistakes and taking action again, I guarantee you that if you do that with that attitude, you will get where you want to go. And if you struggle a lot with this idea of having self-worth, if you have a hard time being confident, I highly recommend going through our Validation Switch program. And we put a link to that program in the description box below this video, so you can access that program 100% for free. So again, if this is something that you really struggle with, click on that link and go through that Validation Switch program right now. And as a thank you for checking out this presentation, we have some other free gifts for you as well. We have some advanced free training for you, and you can get all of that by going to datingadviceformenwholovewomen.com. That's datingadviceformenwholovewomen.com. And if you want to attract, keep, and build a great relationship with the right woman for you, go grab your copy of our best-selling Attract and Keep Her system right now. Inside the Attract and Keep Her system, you'll discover exactly what to do step by step from the first moment that you meet a woman you're interested in until she falls deeply in love with you, becomes your girlfriend and or your wife, and then how to build a great relationship with her that's satisfying for both of you as long as you want to be together. So if that's something that you want and you haven't done it already, go grab your copy of Attract and Keep Her by going to attractandkeepher.com/system. That's attractandkeepher.com/system right now. I'm Jim Wolf with Dating Advice for Men Who Love Women. You're awesome just because you exist, and I'll talk to you later.